Welcome to this next episode of the beloved Miracles Couples Project. Today we are reaching from Norway to Red Lodge, Montana, USA. Hi, Tamara.
Hi.
Tamara is a stay-at-home BeerPreneur. She started online marketing in 2014 when she began implementing a system. So Tamara, where does your story begin?
Well, like we said, it begins back in 2014. I had been working as an office manager for my husband's chiropractic clinic, and I was really, not to say really unhappy with my job, but I was unhappy with the amount of time I was missing my kids. And so I dropped my little guy off at daycare one day, and he's usually really happy to go there. He's got a bunch of friends to play with. And that day, for some reason, he did not want to go. And it just broke my heart to have to leave him all day to do insurance stuff and math and stuff that I didn't really like doing. I loved the patients. I am very passionate about my husband's profession. And so that wasn't the problem, but missing my kids was definitely there. So I decided to search for a way to earn income on my own time from my house where I could not have to miss my kids. And I was able to connect with the system, and it's just been it's been a roller coaster. I'm not gonna lie, just because I had a huge learning curve. I was computer savvy, or so I thought, but I had no idea what I was doing when it came to internet marketing. So I was fortunate enough to have the system there that gave me the tools that I needed to learn, with a lot of mentors that were also involved in that process. However, it seemed like if I didn't have those things, I would have been dead in the water within the first couple of years. So yeah, it's been a journey. And then, you know, having a husband that was, I wouldn't say not supportive, I would say questioning what I was doing and getting to deal with that kind of inquiry, trying to feel like I had to defend what I was doing all the time. So we were able to work through that, but it did take some time, and it took, you know, some hard love. So, and I'll be able to get into that a little bit later, but yeah, so that's, right now, I'm enjoying my time at my house, and I'm going to be able to pick up my kid from school and not miss any piano recitals or anything like that. So the change is definitely there, and I'm enjoying my life eternally more.
Congratulations, and especially congratulations on the clarity to choose this. But I am curious, didn't you find other choices? I mean, was it as clear as like, this is it? Or did you have to pick from this and a few other options and possibilities of what you could have done back then to resolve that wanting to be with your child?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely choices out there. What I think made the big difference for me is that they had something put together to where I didn't have to wonder, what do I have to do today? They have actions that you take every single day to where you're not questioning, well, am I doing this right? Or what's my next step? It's all there. And I mean, there are a lot of companies out there that you can choose from, I suppose, but I just found the clarity of the instruction, the clarity of the vision even, to be my main magnet, I guess, to this specific system.
Lucky you is all I can say, because it's been about 10 years online for me, right? When I first came to Norway, I was beginning to do internet marketing things, and goodness, back then it was like AdSense, if I remember correctly, right? It was this idea that you just get enough of your AdSense on enough different websites, and then hopefully all the pennies would add up, and it was just crazy stuff, you know, just trying to squeeze money out of what was developing with the internet. So there was really not a system that I was ever introduced to until literally just months ago. And now to listen to you, it's just like, oh my goodness, to have been introduced to this system right from the get-go. And as you said, because you just said it so well, right? It was pretty well laid out for you, step by step by step, what to do. It wasn't just copy what someone else had done. It was, right? I mean, it sounds like you could see right away, this was the whole package. The business in a box maybe is another way to refer to it.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And I really appreciated the personal development that came with this specific system, just the activities that you get to do every day, just in the building of your business. I feel like it allowed me to find myself. And that was probably the most powerful thing that I've been able to experience with this whole thing.
Say more about that, because it sounds like there was where most of the change influenced you. You didn't change from other applications or businesses or systems to this system. You actually started fresh with the clarity of this system. But what did change for you in terms of the self-development? And it sounds like self-awareness too, from what you just said.
Very much, very much. Well, I feel like in, I guess, society as a whole, you feel very, very much like you're being put into a box where, you know, you have to get good grades, you have to sit still and be quiet in school, you have to go ahead and go get a job so that you can afford to, I don't know, pay your student loans back. And I mean, I've seen this meme floating around Facebook, and it's absolutely true, that it says, you were not born to pay bills and die. You were born for something else. You were born for something special, specific to you. And if you don't know what that is yet, you got to find it. And this, the system that I went through was very much allowing me to explore that within myself. The books that I was able to read and find, the activities that we did every day, it allows you to blossom within yourself. And it guides you along the way of what you should do about it. When you have that light bulb aha moment where your face just lights up saying, I got it, finally. And then the questions, they seem to change. The questions that you have aren't, how can I, or I guess you start to have more questions instead of saying, we can't afford this. It's asking, how can I? Or I can't do this. It's, how can I do this? How can I make this happen? And you find a way. So, yeah.
And that wasn't happening before. It sounds like that was new, that was fresh, that approach, that awareness that you could ask that question in a new way.
Yes, very much.
I'm somewhat blown away, to be honest with you. I mean, it sounds like you have a graced life where you just naturally take the next appropriate step. You're talking to someone here who usually finds all the things I shouldn't do, and it creates a frame, right? I'm really good at finding the frame, and then I seem to be spending the rest of my my time and days and adventure filling in now, you know, where the boundary is of what I've discovered from all that doesn't work and I don't want to do again. Is it that dramatic for you? Is it that significant for you that this really has you holding your own steering wheel now rather than feeling at the effect?
Very, very much. And to the point where you don't feel like, I mean, I don't know how you see things from where you're sitting about what's happening in America right now with the past election and everything. And stuff got really ugly really fast during that whole election campaign process. And what I was trying to convey in most of my posts on social media about that is that you can't allow whoever is president to dictate your quality of life. Because when you give that power to somebody else, then it makes you a victim. And a victim is not somebody you want to be. You want to be in control of what happens to you. And you want to be able to say, well, this can be going on, and this is what I'm going to do about it for myself. Expecting the whole world to be changed, I suppose, by outside factors, that's just, for me now, that's backwards mentality. If you if you look around you and you don't like what you see, it's not your job to go and tell everybody else, well, you need to do this and you need to do this, and then my life will be better. That's BS. You need to change what it is you don't like about your life. And then that will change your own environment around you. So that's one huge lesson I learned.
That's such a crystal clarity, the way you described it. Thank you for that. Yeah. So I hear the shift and the change. I hear as well that, how do I describe it now? I mean, you're almost bringing me into a new realm of awareness for myself. the way, yeah, it is. It is good. It's a really good stretch. You've stumped the interviewer in terms of, you know, the usual structure of how it is I can approach this. Let's move on, I think, to the next question. Let's just go there and see then if there's something to loop back to. So in terms of advice, because I know the question. The question really was like, how did this ripple out? How did you notice the change in you implementing this system begin to show up in your husband, in your child, in maybe the growing circles around you? What did you notice of change rippling out around you?
Okay, so there were two, I guess, manifestations of my effect on my environment. One was that I got people saying, oh my gosh, I read your blog post today, or I loved the video that you shot today. What are you doing? What are you up to? How can I be involved in this? How can I do this for myself? And the other one was, what do you think you're doing? Why are you doing all this stuff? Why? What makes you think that you can tell other people this? And, you know, or even accusing me of being fake. Like, this isn't the real you, you know? and that's a hard thing to hear from people that you care about, or from people that say that, you know, they're your friends. And to that, I can only say, you learned who you could be around. And if I got, it's a boundary setting exercise above anything else. Realizing that you have to understand you are deserving of being loved and being happy. You are worthy. You bring worth to the table of the world. And nobody can take that away from you. That you can love yourself and not be conceited. And that you can set boundaries. If somebody is there saying, you know, taking a dump on what you're doing. This happened to me, actually. I was at our local tap room having a beer and talking about how, like, my dream car is a Bentley, right? And this person is like, well, why? That's so impractical. Why would you want a Bentley in Montana? That's stupid. You could just have a Chevy Tahoe. I'm like, I don't want a Chevy. I want a Bentley, man. And if you said that your dream car was a Chevy Tahoe or whatever, there's no way in hell I would dump on that. So why are you doing that to me? And that's setting a boundary, saying, you know, if you can't appreciate, or at the very least acknowledge that my dreams are valid, then I can't have you around, because that energy is going to suck away from what I have going on. And they're called energy vampires for a reason. That if they sit there and go, nah, 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 it's going to suck your energy right away. And you leave that conversation feeling like, oh, I just got hit. And I just spent less time with them. And when they ask, you know, why aren't you around anymore? Why aren't you, you know, every time I want to go do something, you're like, no. Okay. Mirror time. You need to look at how you are treating me. This isn't me causing you to be unhappy. This is you and your effect on me, and I can't have that. So yeah, boundaries are a big deal. A very big deal.
I love it. Well, that's the question that usually we do bring this full circle with, and you've already started to answer it. What other advice, what additional advice would you have, especially toward couples building together, implementing a system?
Okay. Well, the number one rule has to be honesty. I mean, I felt like part of the problems that I had with my husband not wanting to have much to do with this and not really, maybe not understanding what I was doing was my fault. And that, you know, it's not that I was being outwardly dishonest. I was, to be clear, I mean, I wasn't sure that I believed in myself at the time. So I would, like, he would come around my shoulder while I was writing a blog and he'd be like, what are you doing? And I'd shut my computer down and say, I'm blogging, and like give him the stink eye to back off for a second, because I was afraid to show him what's in here. And how is that going to help a marriage? It sucks. So I feel like being honest with each other is very, very important. Also, the boundary thing. Like, I mean, eventually I got to the point where, like, I'd been asking nicely and you know, really trying to get him on board with what I was doing, and it wasn't happening. And the boundary being set, saying, you know, you have to be able to tell him, this is a 10 importance to me, that you understand how I feel. If you need to involve a third party counseling, do it. A lot of people are like, oh, you know, if you're marriage counseling, then your marriage is failing. No, you're actually taking responsibility for your relationship and getting the help you need, an outside third party that could be objective to all the emotions that come with this. And you're getting the helpful advice that you need. I mean, I feel like counseling has saved our marriage more than anything. So definitely be honest with each other and how important your feelings are about what you're working on. Be supportive of each other, ask questions. And yeah, if you need an outside objective observer, get it, by all means.
Which is, again, another form of a mentor, isn't it? In terms of someone willing to share another opinion, another perspective, another way of doing something.
Yeah.
And that seems to be key to implementing this system as well, right? The mentorship involved in it, the team approach that allows us access to people that otherwise we wouldn't. Or like in our case, I probably wouldn't even have met you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Really nice. Anything else that you'd like to add in terms of advice toward couples implementing and building together this way?
I would say have fun with it. You know, that it's, oh, I forget who told me this, but somebody said, if you think about the daily activities that you need to do as a job, as an entrepreneur, you won't do them. So that you're going to run into some job-minded people who are interested or looking at what you're doing. They may not be ready to join yet, but it's hard to say. The hardest thing, I think, is getting out of the job mentality and into a business builder or an entrepreneurship mentality, where, like, it's really hard for me to go back to that. Just knowing my why for being able to do this is making sure that I'm there for my kids when they need me. And I mean, if I had a service job or something, or like a waitress job, or had to skip a day because my kid was sick, you know, I could lose my job. I could get the stink eye from my coworkers who had to pick up the slack when I was not there. You know, that's just not worth it to me. The paycheck of that is not worth it to me when, you know, a couple weeks ago, my son had the flu and I was able to stay with him and make sure he was okay for a whole week. He missed a week of school, which is crazy. I don't know many other environments that would allow that and have you still keep your job. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have fun with it.
Well said. Taking some notes here, right? This idea of boundaries, very clear how that was an awareness and even sometimes a shifting of boundaries, right? different values. This was, I kept hearing the word, the different way of valuing yourself, in working with others, shifting their ability to value you, whether it's a Ford to a Chevy to a Bentley, and so on, right? These are like measures of value that each of us have. And rather than comparison, right, having it be more inclusive than exclusive type holding of values, honesty, asking questions, the mentorship. And this, you just really beautifully touched on the job mentality versus the, more entrepreneurial mentality. And knowing your why. I loved how you mentioned that just now.
That's very, very important. If you don't know why you're doing something, then you're not going to go after it with everything you have. So, yeah.
Press on. I don't know what else to say, but press on. I absolutely support you. You get such a great clarity and understanding of where you've been, where you are, and even what's next. I hear vision in the way you're able to speak and hold this for yourself and your family, even for your husband who would choose, right, to be more in a supportive role. Way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not over yet. We're still going.
Exactly. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for making the time to share your experience and your wisdom. The words come again to me as I usually wrap these up with this idea that together we overcome. And I hear that in your story and even in our ability to come together, you and me, and whoever's able to tune into this right now and tap into this, this wisdom of yours, that they also have an opportunity to join this unity of being together. Because truly I find together we have a strength that on our own, at least me and all my years of doing internet marketing and other things, I just never had anywhere near the kind of strength that we can share with each other together. So thank you for sharing it.
You are so welcome. Thank you.